Hi, Beck Mack here, and I'm at the Queensland Brain Institute, and I'm just about to chat to Dr. Alan Woodruff. How are you, Alan?
Yeah, very well, thanks.
Thanks for taking the time to have a chat today. Can you tell us a little bit about QBI, Queensland Brain Institute, and your role here?
Yeah, sure. So QBI, the Queensland Brain Institute, was established nearly 20 years ago, I think 19 years ago now. It's as a sort of basic neuroscience research institute, probably one of the major ones within Queensland and Australia. My role here is I'm a strategic projects manager. I work a little bit on developing and implementing QBI strategy. Part of that is trying to build up the sort of industry engagement here, and also work as a program manager for a brain injury institute. Yeah.
So, working with the brain obviously is very crucial work, but still it's hard to convince potentially sometimes funding bodies and government agencies and the community of the crucial work you're doing here. And at the same time, it's very complex, isn't it? The systems and the structures that you work in. You've been working with Dr. Patrick Sylvie recently around building some projects. What is the value he brings to this process?
Yeah, look, I think what Pat has sort of really well established is his sort of networks of connections and understanding of the sort of broader ecosystem that science operates in. So at a research institute, we sort of understand how to get funding from funding agencies, but not so much about the sort of necessarily so much about the broader picture, sort of how government policies sort of shape funding and that sort of thing, and the importance of interacting with industry, especially in recent years. So I think Pat understands that and has those links, and that's something that's really valuable to us.
Yeah. And I guess it's also great to have that outside perspective as someone who, yeah, as you said, understands science but can see potentially its application in the real world, in industry, but also someone who's connected on those levels. So far with you, have you had some really great outcomes that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, look, I think probably one thing recently as part of the industry engagement is he's sort of introduced us to Hub, so that's Advanced Robotics for Manufacturing. So that is something with potential, I'd say, got a sort of one of our main leads in that space at the moment. So that's been really promising. Nothing concrete yet, but we're certainly hopeful. And he's also sort of helped drive or shape how we've developed our strategy. So I'd say those are sort of two main things so far. Yeah.
And within this space, it's very niche what Patrick does, and it takes a certain kind of person, I guess, that can bring all these separate industries, ideas, and people together. Why would you recommend working with Patrick?
Look, I think Pat is really good at understanding different perspectives, taking them all in, working with different people, different personalities, different motivators. And I think he's a really good facilitator, I think, facilitator and connector, and that's really what he brings. And he's an ex-scientist, he understands the research system very well, but he also understands what funders are looking for, and so really gives some great sort of strategic advice and input from that sense. Yeah.
And finally, with QBI, what do you see as the major, not problem, but challenge for the Institute at the moment?
Funding, definitely funding. Look, we're established with a real focus on fundamental discovery science, which underpins all the therapeutics and diagnostics that get all the sort of acclaim, right? But it's a long process, and the way that the funding landscape is changing is sort of not working in our favour at the moment. So I think the biggest challenge for us is getting those industry links and clinical links while maintaining that sort of discovery core, I guess, which is clearly very important, but potentially not supported as well as it should be by the government. Yeah.
And is that because it's a long game and they just want outcomes now?
100%. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, at the same time, as researchers, we have to think about how our research matters and think about how you can get it from the lab to the outside world. And that's potentially something we could be doing better, and something that Pat sort of, I wouldn't wouldn't say pushes, but highlights. But yeah, absolutely. The reason is it's a long game. It's expensive, and yeah, I guess governments want the headlines without having to do necessarily all that sort of investment. Yeah.
And do you think, say, in the States, similar to the arts, is a big philanthropic support for art science innovation? Like, is that something that's lacking here in Australia, that philanthropic dollar to support research?
Yeah, look, I mean, QBI actually does fairly well on the philanthropic side. We've got a good team here. But definitely the level of support in the US, it's sort of part of their culture. You think of Harvard's and universities like that, the endowments that they have, it's just part of their culture. And, you know, some of their tech entrepreneurs who've become incredibly wealthy, they put it back into basic science. And that's definitely something that's missing here. You know, for understandable reasons, I think that donors have a focus on disease outcomes and so on, and in a sense QBI is lucky because you know, a lot of the diseases that are relevant to what we do are very prominent in society.
Like Alzheimer's, brain injuries. Really, I mean, if you guys can't get money, who can?
Yeah, no, that's right, and like I said, we have been fairly successful, but when you compare us to somewhere like the United States, it's night and day. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Alan. It's been great to get an insight into everything. And I just love this place. So space age.
Nice building, 10, 15 years old now. So, yeah, but no, it's good. Yeah.
Thank you.